Have you ever noticed that when the ground beneath your feet seems to crumble and the sky turned a shade of gray you can barely withstand, a specific face comes to your mind? Or perhaps that exact person physically re-enters your life? It is a moment that feels suspended in time, where the chaos of your external world stands in stark contrast to the sudden, specific focus on this one individual. You might wonder why them and why now. It can feel confusing, sometimes frustrating, or inexplicably comforting. This is not a random accident of the universe, nor is it a mere coincidence of timing. Please understand that this recurrence is not a sign of emotional weakness, nor does it mean you are obsessing over the past or failing to move forward. This experience is a complex interplay of your psychological state, your emotional resonance, and the subtle energies that guide our human connections. It is a valid, profound human experience that speaks to the depths of how we bond and how we heal. There is a silent, internal layer to this phenomenon, a mechanism that operates below the noise of your conscious thoughts. It is a language spoken between souls and psyches that we rarely are taught to interpret. Throughout this text, we will unravel the hidden meaning behind this arrival. I will guide you through 10 distinct revelations that will help you understand this process with emotional clarity, psychological insight, and spiritual lightness, allowing you to see this person not just as a visitor, but as a vital key to your own becoming. The resonance of vulnerability. The first thing you must understand is that your pain emits a frequency that is far louder than your spoken words. When you are at your lowest, your subconscious defenses are down, and you are broadcasting a signal of raw vulnerability that only certain people are tuned to receive. This is not about telepathy in a magical sense, but rather about a deep, established emotional rapport where two nervous systems have learned to recognize each other's distress signals. The person who appears often holds a specific emotional key that fits the lock of your current suffering. They resonate with your vibration because they have either walked this path with you before, or they represent the safety you feel you have lost. In psychology, we understand that we seek homeostasis, or balance, and your mind summons the image or the presence of this person as a way to regulate your internal chaos. It is a search for a baseline. Spiritually, this is your soul calling out for a witness who understands the specific texture of your pain without you needing to explain it. Think of your emotional state during these hard times as a lighthouse in a dense fog. This person is the ship that sees the light not because they are lucky, but because they know exactly where to look on the horizon. Their arrival is a response to a call you may not have even realized you were screaming into the void. When this person appears in your thoughts or reality during your darkest hour, do you feel a sense of safety, or do you feel a challenge to finally confront what hurts? The mirror of unresolved healing. Often, the person who shows up when you are struggling is not there to save you, but to reflect what still needs to be healed within you. They act as a perfect mirror. If their presence brings comfort, it reflects your need for self-compassion. If their presence brings agitation or longing, it reflects an internal conflict or an unhealed wound that has been triggered by your current crisis. We often project our own hidden strengths or our repressed shadows onto others. In moments of weakness, the mind reaches for this person because they embody the qualities you feel you are currently lacking. Or they remind you of a strength you have forgotten you possess. Consider a moment where someone felt their life was falling apart, perhaps the loss of a career or a deep sense of directionlessness. In that precise week of hollow silence, an old friend or a past love reached out, not knowing the details, but simply sensing a shift. This arrival forced the person to look not at the friend, but at themselves through the friend's eyes. It was not the conversation that mattered, but the realization that they were still worthy of connection despite their perceived failure. The friend was merely the glass. The reflection was the person's own resilience staring back. This dynamic proves that our connections are often assignments. The universe uses these coincidences to place a mirror in front of us when we are too afraid to look at ourselves directly. Imagine this person as a calm, clear lake appearing in the middle of a scorched desert. They are there to show you your own face, so you can remember who you are when the heat of life has made you forget. The anchor of familiarity. When we traverse through the storms of life, the primitive part of our brain desperately seeks a reference point. This is deeply rooted in our psychology of attachment. We look for what is known, what is safe, and what has historically survived with us. The person who appears in your worst moments often represents a safe harbor in your subconscious map. Even if your relationship with them was complicated, there is a familiarity that your nervous system recognizes as a known entity amidst the terrifying unknown of your current crisis. This is your mind's way of trying to stabilize your reality by anchoring it to a figure who has weight and substance in your memory. From a spiritual perspective, this is about soul recognition. There are certain souls that have agreed to be your anchor points. They do not necessarily need to be present in your daily life to fulfill this role. Their energy imprint is enough to ground you. When you feel like you are floating away into the abyss of anxiety or sadness, their memory or their sudden message acts as a gravitational force. They remind you that you have a history, that you have existed before this pain, and therefore you will exist after it. Visualize a mountain climber hanging from a cliff face. This person is the piton driven deep into the rock, holding the rope. You may swing in the wind, and you may feel the vertigo of the drop, but the anchor holds. It is there to remind you that you are not falling into nothingness. You are held by the connections you have forged, even the invisible ones. The activation of dormant strength. There is a profound misconception that we only think of people we love when we are weak. The truth is, sometimes this person appears to remind you of your power. It is a psychological trigger for resilience. Perhaps in the past, when you were with this person, you felt capable, alive, or brave. Your brain associates their presence with that version of yourself. When you hit rock bottom, your psyche brings them to the forefront not to make you miss them, but to activate that dormant version of you. It is a retrieval of resources. You are unconsciously borrowing their belief in you, or the strength you felt when you were connected to them. This creates a powerful energetic shift. Instead of drowning in the problem, you begin to view the situation through the lens of, what would I do if I were feeling as strong as I did back then? It is a bridge between who you are in the crisis and who you are capable of becoming. Spiritually, this is a nudge from your intuition. It is a reminder that the light you see in them is actually present in you. Otherwise, you would not be able to recognize it. They are the catalyst, but the chemical reaction of courage is happening entirely within your own vessel. Think of this process like a dormant seed buried under the snow of winter. This person is the first ray of warm spring sun. They do not create the life inside the seed. That life was already there, waiting. But they provide the necessary conditions for that strength to break through the frozen ground and rise. The disruption of negative patterns. Sometimes, the universe sends a person back into our mental or physical space to interrupt a spiral of self-destruction. When we are at our worst, we can easily fall into repetitive loops of negative thinking and hopelessness. The sudden appearance of this person acts as a pattern interrupt. Their text, their call, or even the intense memory of them is unexpected enough to snap you out of the hypnotic rhythm of your own despair. It forces your brain to switch tracks, moving from a state of catastrophic thinking to a state of relational processing. This interruption is vital. It creates a space between you and your suffering. In that brief pause, clarity can enter. It is not always a pleasant interruption. Sometimes it brings up old grief or confusion. However, even that confusion is better than the numb paralysis of hitting rock bottom. It reawakens your emotional body. It reminds you that you can still feel, that you can still react, and that you are not dead inside. It creates movement where there was stagnation. Spiritually, this is the hand of destiny intervening when you have lost your way. It is a course correction. By shifting your focus to this connection, you are momentarily lifted out of the vibrating frequency of the problem. Does this interruption feel like a disturbance to your peace, or does it feel like a necessary wake-up call that forces you to breathe again? The completion of karmic cycles. There are times when a person appears in our difficulties because the difficulty itself is linked to a lesson they helped initiate. This is not about blame. It is about completion. We often carry open loops in our psychology, conversations unfinished, emotions unexpressed, forgiveness withheld. When life squeezes us, these open loops are brought to the surface because the pressure forces everything hidden to rise. The person returns to your awareness because your soul is ready to close the chapter, not necessarily by reconnecting with them in the physical world, but by resolving the emotion they represent within you. This is a profound opportunity for spiritual maturation. The crisis you are facing has lowered your ego's defenses, making it possible to finally let go of pride or resentment. You might realize that in the grand scheme of your suffering, the old grievances with this person no longer matter. Or, conversely, you might realize that the pain you are feeling now is an echo of the pain you felt with them, and you are finally ready to heal the root cause. It is a moment of energetic auditing. Imagine an old dusty book on a shelf that has been left open to a painful page for years. The wind of your current crisis blows through the room and flips the pages. This person appearing is the hand that gently closes the book, allowing you to finally place it back on the shelf and pick up a new one. The reminder of universal connection. Isolation is the hallmark of our worst moments. We feel uniquely broken, as if no one has ever felt this specific shade of darkness. The sudden thought or arrival of a specific person is a reminder of the web of connection that binds us all. It pierces the illusion of separation. Even if you haven't spoken in years, the fact that your mind drifts to them or that they reach out to you proves that energetic cords do not dissolve simply because of time or distance. We are entangled on a quantum level. This realization brings a subtle form of spiritual relief. It suggests that you are part of a larger tapestry. If you can feel them and they can feel you, then you are not floating in a void. You are held in a network of human experience. This person becomes a symbol of the collective human heart. Their presence in your mind is evidence that love and connection are persistent forces, more durable than the temporary circumstances of your pain. It shifts your perspective from "I am alone" to "I am connected." Think of the roots of great trees in a dense forest. On the surface, the trees stand apart, weathering their own storms. But underground, in the deep, dark earth, their roots are intertwined, sharing nutrients and information. This person is the root touching yours in the dark, reminding you that the forest is one living entity. The call to radical self-acceptance. In our worst moments, shame is often the loudest voice. We are ashamed of our failure, our sadness, or our inability to cope. When a specific person comes to mind, it is often someone with whom we felt a distinct lack of judgment, or, conversely, someone whose judgment we feared the most. If it is a safe person, they appear to remind you that you are lovable, even in your mess. If it is a difficult person, they may appear to challenge you to accept yourself despite their absence or disapproval. This is a psychological test of self-worth. The universe is asking, can you be your own best friend right now? The person is a prompt. If you miss them, you are really missing the feeling of being accepted. This longing is a signal to turn that acceptance inward. You are being called to mother your own wounds, to father your own strength. The external figure is merely a placeholder for the unconditional love you must learn to generate for yourself. Metaphorically, think of yourself as a house that has been damaged by a storm. The windows are broken and the roof is leaking. This person is not the carpenter who will fix it. They are the memory of warmth that once filled the rooms. That memory serves to remind you that the house is worth repairing, that it is still a home, and that you are the one holding the hammer. The alignment of destiny and timing. We often think of our lives as linear, but time is fluid when it comes to the soul. People pop up in our worst moments because of synchronicity, a meaningful coincidence that suggests a higher order. Perhaps they have just gone through what you are going through, and they have the map. Perhaps you are meant to help them, and your crisis is actually opening your heart to be of service, which is the fastest way to heal. The timing is never accidental. The intersection of your timeline with theirs at this precise low point suggests a mutual destiny. It implies that your stories are not finished with each other, or that you are meant to impact each other's trajectories in this specific season. It removes the randomness from suffering. If their appearance has meaning, then perhaps your pain has meaning too. It helps you transition from a victim mindset, "Why is this happening to me?" to a seeker mindset, "What is this trying to teach me?" Visualize a grand loom weaving a complex rug. The threads are of different colors, some dark, some bright. The weaver does not make mistakes. The dark thread of your crisis and the bright thread of this person's presence are being pulled together to create a specific pattern that you cannot yet see fully, but which is essential for the integrity of the whole design. The awakening of higher love. Finally, the ultimate meaning of this person showing up is to expand your definition of love. In our worst moments, superficial love fades away. Fair-weather friends disappear. What remains is the truth. If this person appears, it signifies a bond that transcends the transactional nature of modern relationships. It is a love that does not require proximity or even reciprocity to exist. It simply is. This teaches you about the endurance of the spirit. It shows you that love is not just a feeling of happiness. It is a force of sustenance. Whether this person is a romantic interest, a family member, or a distant friend, their energetic presence proves that the heart has its own intelligence. You are learning to love without attachment, to appreciate the connection without needing to control the outcome. You are learning that love is the light that survives the darkness. Think of a single candle burning in a vast, dark cavern. The darkness is immense, heavy, and consuming. Yet, the darkness cannot extinguish the candle. The candle does not fight the dark, it simply shines. This person is that flame in your mind. They are there to show you that light is not an absence of darkness, but a presence that exists within it, unyielding and eternal. Reaffirmation of purpose. As we come to the end of this journey, I want you to take a deep breath and feel the weight of these words settling into your heart. The fact that a specific person appears in your thoughts or reality during your hardest times is not a sign that you are broken or regressing. On the contrary, it is a testament to how deeply you are wired for connection and how intuitive your spirit truly is. You are a sensitive instrument, picking up on the subtle melodies of the universe, even when the world around you feels discordant. You have the power to interpret these signs not as hauntings, but as guidance. You are not a victim of your memories or your emotions. You are the conscious observer of a beautiful, complex inner world. Direction for healing. To navigate this with grace, I invite you to practice a simple act of release. When this person comes to mind, do not push the thought away, and do not chase it down a rabbit hole of what-ifs. Simply pause. Observe with wisdom. Say to yourself, I see you. I acknowledge the connection. I take the strength I need, and I release the rest. Let the feeling wash over you like a wave, knowing that waves always recede. Take the comfort, leave the longing. Use their presence as fuel to be kinder to yourself today. Remember this truth. The people who visit us in our darkness are not always there to pull us out. Sometimes they are there to remind us that we have the light within us to find our own way out. If this message resonated with the quiet corners of your heart, I invite you to continue this journey of self-discovery with us. Subscribe to the channel to explore more truths about the mind, energy, and the human heart. Share this video with someone who might be walking through their own storm right now. You might be the sign they are waiting for.